Vahai Tamastu Mavid Vishavahai Om Shanti Shanti. We are entering into the part C, Vedanta Treatise. The chapter 16, Use and Abuse of Religion. The topic, Individual Diagnosis and Treatment. Yes.
Chapter 16, Use and Abuse of Religion, Individual Diagnosis and Treatment. The subject of religion has received a casual treatment the world over. Hardly anyone takes up religion seriously, except perhaps the professionals who make a living out of it. And they too have no clue what it is. Humans can ill afford to do so. Religion is a technology dealing with the development of the individual, just as science is a technology dealing with the improvement of the world. Life is constituted of individual and the world. Both of them need to be carefully developed, improved. If neglected, there can be no material or spiritual progress. Even the intelligentsia has no idea of the role of religion in human life. In the name of religion, some plunge into ritualistic practices without understanding what they represent. Others indulge in devotional prayer and worship, soliciting material gain or mental solace for themselves. Yet others pick up religious books indiscriminately and read them to satisfy their curiosity. Few approach it methodically as one would pursue science or technology, and the world remains deprived of the value and worth of religion. Consequently, few can claim to have attained spiritual mastery. Medicine and engineering is a scientific course. To gain the knowledge of either, you need to go through a systematic process of study under proper guidance. You cannot become a surgeon or an engineer by merely reading medical or engineering books of your choice. The technical courses have laid down definite procedures to follow. You observe these disciplines as far as scientific technology is concerned. You would join a university, follow the prescribed course step by step, year by year, under qualified masters until you complete it. But you do not care to treat religion the same way. You do not seem to appreciate that religion is a technology far more scientific than any other known in the world, that there is a greater system and more rigorous discipline associated with spiritual courses. The procedures laid down in them are far more exacting. You will have to follow them meticulously, like the other sciences. Besides, you need guidance, supervision to enable you to adhere to the right channel for your spiritual evolution. Needless to mention, you must put in all important effort on your part to observe these disciplines to gain spiritual evolution. Spiritual disciplines are varied. The fundamental requirement, though, is to choose the aspect of training compatible to one's person. Every individual has a distinct constitution. The inner nature differs from person to person. One's own inner constitution is known as swadharma, and a constitution of an alien nature is paradharma. You must make sure you choose your discipline, spiritual discipline, in accordance with your swadharma and not paradharma. This applies even in material field. You must select a career which conforms to your basic nature and temperament. If your inner nature is inclined towards mathematics, you should choose your study and career in mathematics. Or it could be music, sports, any other field. Thus, basing your career on your inherent nature, you would meet with success and progress in your chosen field. The same rule applies good in spiritual realm as well. Your inner nature could be emotional or intellectual or balanced in both. Seldom does one find a person lacking both emotion and intellection. You must therefore take up spiritual discipline compatible with your particular nature. That would escalate your spiritual development. The first and foremost phase of spiritual training is the diagnosis of one's inner constitution. Before you take up a spiritual path, you must ascertain the nature of your constitution. The inner nature is determined by the varying strength of mind and intellect. When your mind is more developed than your intellect, you are classified as emotional. Whereas when your intellect is more developed than your mind, you are intellectual. Balanced in both, you are active. And there are broad disciplines of devotion, knowledge, and action prescribed for the three categories. Spiritual disciplines are imparted to the mind and intellect to rehabilitate them. Chasten your mind's emotions, subtleize your intellectual thoughts. To achieve this, you need to administer appropriate spiritual practice in accordance with the nature of the inner constitution. One medicine cannot take care of all diseases. The emotional need to take the path of devotion, the intellectual need the path of knowledge, and the active path of action. But in world today, these three classes of people take up courses at random, and the spiritual practices in vogue are all indiscriminately mixed up. They have no method system supporting them. People usually follow a religious practice because they are born into it, or because of environmental influence, or certain circumstance or opportunity that came their way. Rare indeed are they based on analysis and choice as per their individual requirement. Consequently, religion has produced little effect upon humanity. Furthermore, even those classified as emotional, intellectual, or active do not carry each one's particular trait only. A person is no person is wholly emotional, wholly intellectual, or wholly active. Each has his own trait in predominance and other two traits as well in less degree. Hence, the three spiritual paths must be followed in the proportion of one's constituent nature. For instance, a person who is 70% intellectual, 10% emotional, and 20% active must put in 70% of his time and effort in path of knowledge, 10% in devotion, and 20% in action. Thus, programming your diagnosis and treatment methodically, your progress in spiritual path would be meteoric. Failing to observe a systematic procedure, your progress will be slow. If you may remain stagnant, perhaps deteriorate.
Yeah. Up till here, first thing here is religion is an individual subject. Religion is not a social activity. It's not a group activity. Religion is individualistic. The very first step in understanding the play of religion is to accept, is to understand that it is purely an individual action. It's purely something that concerns the individual. It's not part of any organized setup. There are organized setups, but even there, the focus is only on the individual. The first thing that we understand here is religion is purely individualistic by nature. The fundamental difference between most of the religions and Vedanta is that we say it is based on the individual. That's why throughout the text it would be addressed as you. The you meaning the individual. So first thing that we understand here is what it concerns the individual. With this background, if you look at it, you understand religion has taken a very casual treatment. A very casual treatment. Hardly anyone takes it up seriously. Hardly anyone takes religion seriously. Religion is that which helps you to evolve as an individual. Without religion, individual development is not possible. You may use the word religion, you may not use the word religion. It doesn't matter. But without religion, individual development is an impossibility. And that vital factor is taken very casually. That's the first point that he is making. That which is so necessary, there is no other thing that will help you to grow as an individual. At least in this classroom, we have to be aware of the fact that it is religion exclusively designed for individual development. Religion is a subject, religion is a science. Science means method. I'll come to that later. Science means a method. So before that, we have to understand it has minus religion, individual development is an impossibility. And this is not understood. Is the first, is the foremost thing, because people believe why they take it as a very casual treatment. Predominantly, religion is misunderstood as a systems of ethics, morals. Wealth is important, sir. That is the basis. Religion is more like the decoration on the cake. Religion is more like you go to Starbucks, they give coffee and they decorate the coffee. No, yeah, something they draw on the coffee and give. So religion has become that decoration. Even if it is not there, life can still continue, is the belief. I have to follow what I'm saying. Even if it is not there, we can still continue with life and nothing will be lost. Okay, decoration may not be there, but still it's okay. Coffee you are getting, no, what is the problem? Decoration is okay. If you still, the decoration doesn't add up to the taste in any way. That's what he meant by we take religion casually. We take it as though it is something that is not needed, essential for life. When we say religion is essential for life, minus religion, individual development is an impossibility. We may agree, we may not agree. We may accept, we may not accept. And what is individual development? What is meant by individual development? Individual development is defined by how much are you in control over yourself. That's all. Maturity. Individual maturity. That's all. What is religion? Religion is nothing but an individual maturity. You can't study science, mathematics, engineering, business, MBA, I don't know what all you can. You don't become mature by all this. Individual maturity cannot come through that. And you can't blame them. Why you can't blame them? Vedanta is not blaming them. Why? Because their subject matter is not that. Their subject matter is not individual maturity. Their subject matter is something else. Therefore, whatever their subject matter is, they are doing fine. Whatever that subject matter of science is, it's done well. Whatever the subject matter of business is, it's done well. Whatever the subject matter of arts and music is, it's done well. But as an individual, there is lack of growth. Growth means maturity, that's all. What is human growth? In the ultimate sense, realizing the self. Even if you can't understand in the ultimate sense, even relatively, what is growth means? When can you say you have grown from childhood into adulthood? When you cross 18, according to the legal age of the country in which you are born. Huh? Some provinces, in some countries, 15. In this country, it is 18. It means what? 17 years, 363 days, you are being a child, and then on the 18th birthday, stroke of midnight, you become an adult. How does it happen? A maturity that happens without which, a maturity that happens with which you are not aware of. It's a gradual process. Are you able to follow the example? Similarly, spiritual growth. There is this maturity. Spiritual growth is defined by maturity. And religion is that which helps you to have this growth. Maturity is recognizing the law, understanding the law, and obeying the law. This is what maturity is. Immaturity is somehow thinking that you are above the law. That's all. Again, I repeat. Maturity is recognizing the law, and you are not you are not above the law. That's what maturity is. What is immaturity? What the child does? What is immaturity? Somehow it tries to break the law, thinking that law means it is binding, it is constricting, it is restricting. I don't have the freedom. Don't I have the freedom to do what I want to do? If anybody's, if a 40-year-old person talks this language, what will you say? You can understand a 10-year-old child talking this language. I will do what I want to do. I have the freedom to do what I want to do. Who are you to tell me all that? You can say that at 10. You can't say that will you say that at 40? If you are saying that at 40, it means you are still 10-year-old only. Why? Because you have not become mature. So what is maturity? What is maturity? Recognizing the law, understanding the law, and you obey the law. That's maturity. Religion is the science that helps you to understand the law, recognize the law, understand the law, and obey the law. What is it? The law of life. Or in plural, you can say the laws of life. Anshu, how will you say the law, pronounce the word laws in plural? How will you pronounce it? Not L-O-S-S, L-A-W-S. How will you pronounce it?
Laws.
Correct, huh? I'm pronouncing correctly only. No. Okay. Laws. This is maturity. So, if you ask yourself, are you matured? Because you have married, you have children, you have grandchildren, you have great grandchildren, doesn't mean you are matured. What is maturity? A science, religion is a science that brings about this maturity. And such an important subject, religion, is treated so casually. That is the first. That's the first thing he says. Why they do that? Because even the intelligentsia don't know what is the role of religions. They still today people believe religion means it is something that is like a decoration. Vivekananda says when you build a house, you have the living room, you have the bedroom, you have the kitchen, you have the TV room, you have the meeting room, and then suddenly you find something is missing. After finishing everything, you find suddenly something is missing. What is that? Puja room. And then see one corner where to put him. Because God is everywhere, you can put him anywhere. No. God is everywhere, you can put him anywhere, and that God wouldn't complain also. Why? That is the casual treatment we give it to religion. Because even the intelligentsia do not understand it. Why? The misunderstanding is religion means either a ritualistic practice or an emotional frenzy in the name of devotion. In the name of devotion, either it is an emotional frenzy over a deity, some deity, maybe Krishna, maybe Shiva, maybe Rama, maybe Christ, maybe Allah, doesn't make any difference. Just an emotional frenzy over a deity is misunderstood as prayer or some ritual, mostly driven by fear. Rituals are mostly driven by fear. What is the fear? If you don't do this, your children will suffer. Yeah, that's how they say. Therefore, why make the might as well do it? And then bargain with the priest will start. If he says 2 hours to finish, you say, I have an important meeting, finish it in 30 minutes. The priest says 2 hours means 200 rupees, 30 minutes means 2000 rupees. Ritualistic practice. Misunderstanding of religion as a ritualistic practice and emotional frenzy over a deity is misunderstood as bhakti. Emotional infatuation and frenzy over a deity or a personality is misunderstood as devotion or randomly reading books indiscriminately. Randomly reading books indiscriminately. When you understand religion as a science, what is the definition of the science? The definition of the science is in Sanskrit, it's called krama. In English, it's called order. Science means it has a Science means it has a krama. Krama means what should come first should come first. What should come last should come last. You can't mix it. That is science. Science is that which defines a system. So the moment you understand religion as a science, then the immediate question that will come to you is what should be done first, what should be done second, what should be done third. You can't mix up. Because people don't understand religion as a science, what they do, they go on mixing it up, as a result of which it is the world remains deprived of the value and worth of religion. The value and worth of religion doesn't happen, and very few can claim to have attained spiritual mastery. Science is the technology that deals with matter outside. You make a mistake, you don't hurt yourself that much. Religion is a far more advanced technology because it is the science that is dealing with your own self. Who is dealing with you? Who's dealing with you? Never. Your own self. You are dealing with yourself. And you make a mistake, you hurt yourself. Who's dealing with you? In the science, you are dealing with something external. In religion, you are dealing with yourself. It is far more advanced, it's far more subtle. It means the practices has to be rigorous, the practices has to be strict. It means what? The practices has to be rigorous and strict. Are you able to see the difference? The procedures laid down in them are far more exacting. Exacting means difficult. It's not difficult. The sequence, what comes first, what comes second, you can't mix it up. Any discipline is difficult. When you are trying to develop your own maturity, it is difficult. Giving a discourse and wanting the other to become mature is very easy. I can give a discourse and make all of you get mature. That's what everybody is trying. If the whole world is mature, even if I am immature, it's still all right, no? Are you able to follow? That's why we want to correct everybody around us so much. Why? Because if everything around me is perfect, my imperfections will not hurt me that much. And to work on my imperfections is very difficult. So easy to work on the imperfection of the other. Where do you start? Correct the father, correct the mother, correct the partner, correct the children, correct the boss, correct the environment. In the corrected world, your imperfections are, it will not hurt you that much. That's the hope, which Vedanta comes and says, religion comes and says, is absurd. You have to gain maturity individually, irrespective of what is around you. It means what? It's far more exacting. It's far more difficult. The moment we say something is difficult, the immediate question is, but how to make it easy, sir? The moment we say something is difficult, the question is how to make it easy. Very few ask this question. How do I lift myself up for the difficulty? How do I lift myself up for to? How do I lift myself up for the difficulty. When you say, I need to lift myself up for the difficulty, what happens? Guidance, supervision, everything comes. Guidance in the form of the teacher, supervision in the form of the teacher, monitoring your progress, all comes. When you are willing to lift your when you are willing to take up the difficulty. If the question is how to make it easy, and what is the easiest thing ultimately? I can't eat, I can't chew the food, swallow the food, make the food go into the system and develop nutrients and all that. You do everything and simply transfer the nutrients to me directly. How good it will be, no? The reality is it is not possible. And anybody who comes and says, I will do it for you, people fall for them. I've given this example any number of times. Gautam Buddha walking on the road and the street magician walking on the road. Who is more appealing? Where does who? Where does the crowd go? To the magician. Why? Because he is giving you some. He is telling you what? Something I will give you that will take care. Buddha says, I can help myself and I can guide you, but I am helpless to transform you. Buddha accepts it. All great masters accept it. They say, I can help myself and I am willing to guide you, but I am helpless in transforming you. You can use my presence and get transformed, but ultimately you have to do the work, no? And especially in religion, you can't outsource. What you can't outsource, your maturity cannot be outsourced to somebody. You can't go to somebody, mature person, and say, give me a little bit of your maturity. He can willingly transfer all his maturity, but you will not know what to do with, how to handle it. Therefore, what is very important to understand here, a system, a rigorous discipline is associated. There is a system, there is a rigorous discipline. What is the discipline and what are the fundamentals? Then he goes into that elaboration. Having said that it is a discipline, don't think that you can do random things and become mature. So first what is established? The necessity of religion is established. What is the necessity of religion? Individual maturity is a subject matter, is the exclusive subject matter of religion. Second is it's a science. Science means there is a system. Science means there is a system. Far more systematic, far more scientific, far more subtle than any sciences. Why? Because in all other sciences, your inquiry is about the other. In religion, the inquiry is about you inquiring about yourself. It is easy for me to inquire about Vijay, and it is easy for Vijay to inquire about me, but it is difficult for me to inquire about myself. That is the difficulty. Once I am willing to do that, there is enough guidance. There is enough guidance, there is enough supervision to enable you to grow. The difficulty is not that. Not lack of supervision or lack of guidance. It is and understanding what? It's a systematic, it's a systematic, there is a systematic procedure involved. What should be done first? What should be done second? Whenever we talk about a system, what is the important thing there? Individual constitution becomes important. The individual constitution becomes relevant. Individual constitution becomes one of utmost importance because it is not a group activity. Religion is not a group activity. Religion is an individual activity. Religion being an individual activity, your constitution becomes very, very important. And then he is quickly summarizing what we have studied in the part B. The last few chapters of part B, this is what we have studied. Your inner constitution. What is inner constitution? So a human being is predominantly active, a human being is predominantly emotional, or a human being is predominantly intellectual. No human being is either 100%, 100%, 100%. It is a combination. So according to the combination, you need to, according to your combination, you proportion. What do you proportion? The three things: action, emotion, and knowledge. And the word that he uses is the inner constitution, is called Swadharma. You can talk about this Swadharma and Paradharma any number of times, sir. Still something is elusive about it. Still something is not very clear about this. Still something is not clear at all about this. Dharma is nature. Swa, one's own nature, meaning one's own inner constitution. Dharma means one's own inner nature, meaning one's own inner constitution. So he says, make sure that your spiritual discipline is chosen according to your Swadharma. When you take up something in line with your Swadharma, your spiritual growth escalates. Doing something which is not in line with your nature deteriorates. First and foremost phase of spiritual training is the diagnosis of one's inner constitution. How do you diagnose that? How to diagnose your inner constitution? We have seen that in the lesson, spiritual courses in part B. In part A, we have seen that in the personality chart. Now, I'm not going into those explanations for we have already covered that. In end of part A, we saw the personality chart. Using the chart, you can understand your inner constitution. And in part B, in the lesson the four yogas. When we did the four yogas, we studied that also. How does one understand one's inner constitution? So what is he saying now? The first and foremost phase of spiritual training is the diagnosis of one's inner constitution. Before you take up a spiritual path, you must ascertain the nature of your constitution. If you cannot ascertain, you have to take guidance. That is not said, but that is implied. Because you will not know for yourself in the beginning. You will not know for yourself in the beginning. That is why you have to take. That's why you have to take guidance. In Bhagavad Gita, what happened in chapter 1? Arjuna wanted to do something which is different from his nature. What did he want to do that was different from his nature? Right through chapter 1, Arjuna was talking like a South Indian Brahmin, no? That's the language he's speaking. Why is this, that? Why is that? All that. And Krishna didn't. After listening to all that, Krishna said, it doesn't suit you. He didn't say you are wrong. Are you able to see the difference? He didn't say you are wrong, Arjuna. He didn't say. He says, what you are talking doesn't suit you. Talk that suits you. That is important in spiritual growth. So, what is it that suits you? Fighting is that which will suit you. Therefore, what do? Get up and fight. Arjuna is so convinced that what he is doing is wrong. You do something over a period of time, and then if you think that what you have done is wrong, what to do? Change the course. Huh? You have not understood your nature. What Krishna did? First thing, to make Arjuna understand that Krishna made Arjuna understand that it's your nature, do this. Work according to your nature. If there was imagine the opposite. If there was a South Indian Brahmin in the battlefield talking to Krishna and say, come, let us fight. Krishna would have told him, what Krishna would have told him? "எதுக்குப்பா உனக்கு இந்த வேலை? Huh? Why are you doing this? Why, in what way are you connected with all these things? Leave it and go and leave it and go. Now, Arjuna will ask this question. When you are asking him to not do, why are you asking me to do? Why are you so contradictory? What will Krishna say? What is Krishna's answer? In religion, the answers to the question is always according to your constitution. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Individual doesn't matter here. What is 2 plus 2? You may be a drunkard person, you may be an insane person, you may be a sane person. Answer is 2 plus 2 equals 4. The individual doesn't matter. In religion, the answer is always given to the individual. That's why it is very confusing in the beginning. That's why it is very confusing in the beginning. And especially when religion becomes a group activity, it is absolutely chaotic. Huh? Because what is said for one, that person will not take, somebody else will follow. You say something to one, that person will not follow that. Somebody else will follow that. And then they will come and say, but sir, you said, you turn back and say, when did I say that? But that day you said, Array, that is for that person who asked you to eavesdrop. Yeah. It is not told to you, it is told to that person. Ananda, the chief disciple, asked Buddha, "Why are you like this?" Ananda could not reconcile with Buddha at all. Right till then, he couldn't reconcile with Buddha. Is there God? Question. Buddha said, yes, there is God. What is the doubt? Next person came and asked. In the same day, unconnected, another person came and asked, is there God? No, there is no such thing called God. Is there any doubt about it? Third person came in the evening and asked, is there God? I have been waiting for you for so long. Why did you come very late? Let us explore this question together. Buddha is telling this to that person. Huh? Why are you? I was waiting for you for so long. You came very late. Ananda asked him that night before going to bed. Ananda asked him this question. Don't you think that one question will have only one answer? Buddha turned back and said, what is your question? He didn't answer Ananda. He said, what is your question? Forget about their question. What is your question? This is called individual diagnosis and treatment. That's the topic that we are studying. This is called individual diagnosis and treatment. That is the topic. Spiritual disciplines are a systematic process in line with your individual nature. When we say in line with your individual nature means it may be right for you, it may not be right for your own partner. Forget about the third person. What is evolutionary for you may not be the evolutionary thing for your partner. It differs. Why? Because each individual has a distinct constitution. Human beings doesn't come out of an assembly line. All are same. All are not same. All are not same. Why? Because every individual has a distinct constitution. But all has the potential to become free. All are not same. Doesn't mean only a few can become free. It's not that. Even though all are not same, in potential, everybody has the potential to become free. So in Vedanta, what do we do? Religion, what do we do? We understand the inner constitution and work. That inner constitution is called Swadharma. So taking up a field of activity in line with your Swadharma, meaning the mind cooperates. When you take up a field of activity in line with your Swadharma, there is the cooperation of the mind. Generally speaking, generally speaking, the human beings can be classified into three distinct categories: active, emotional, intellectual. Active means a person who has to be in action all the time. Can't sit straight for a few minutes. Active type. They are not wrong. Active type. Spiritual courses has to be administered according to that type. And then there is emotional. And then the next category, emotional. Everything in life is seen emotionally. That is an emotional person. Every perception, everything is seen through the medium of emotions. Every transaction in life happens through emotions. That is called emotional. The third category is predominantly intellectual. Vedanta addresses everybody. Vedanta addresses the active type. Vedanta addresses the emotional type. Vedanta addresses the intellectual type. Depending on the proportion, you mix match the three. So it addresses all the three categories. What are the three categories? The three categories of active, emotional, and intellectual. The definitions of active, emotional, intellectual is there in the lesson 4 yogas. That's why I'm not. I'm practicing self control not to get into that discussion. No? Active, emotional, and intellectual. Who is an intellectual? A person who is predominantly the rational type is an intellectual. Emotional is one where transactions of life are seen through emotions. Who is an active type? Even before you conclude the sentence, they will want to do something about it. Yeah. Even before you conclude the statement, they will immediately start thinking in terms of what to do, how to do. The whole plan goes in the whole plan starts in the brain, even before the statement is completed. This is called active type. For example, if the active type were to come and sit in a classroom like this, that person will say, week after week, you are talking, talking, talking. Nothing is happening. Might as well we do something that is active. Emotional is seeing everything emotional. Emotion plays a bigger part in everything. Then it is called emotional, rational. A human being is a combination of all the three. Why a human being is combination of all the three? Because a human being has all the three instruments, body, mind, and intellect, in varying degrees. Because he has all the three equipments, body, mind, and intellect, necessarily is a combination of all the three. What differs is the proportion. Spiritual disciplines are imparted to what? Not the physical body. Today, spiritual disciplines is imparted to the yoga, pranayama, to the physical body, meditation to calm the stress down of the physical body is misunderstood as religion. And what is religion? Spiritual disciplines is imparted to the mind and intellect, to rehabilitate the mind and intellect, because he started by saying maturity. It is the reconstituted, rehabilitated mind and intellect becomes matured. It is that maturity. Chasten your mind's emotions, subtleize your intellectual thoughts. To do this, you need to administer appropriate spiritual practice in accordance with the nature of the inner constitution. One medicine cannot take care of all diseases, is the law. And nowadays, it's there, no? In the age of Kali Yuga, bhakti alone is enough. We'll take care. Bhakti Jnana Mandal is not needed. All that you need is chakras. Balance your. We keep saying we know only one chakra. During Diwali, we know only one chakra. That's all. Other than that, we don't know any other. You know that during Diwali time, we have the chakra. That's the only chakra that spins. Rest of the chakras, there is no chakras. Rest of the areas. One medicine cannot take care of all diseases. It has to be different. Thus, programming your diagnosis and treatment methodically, your spiritual progress would be meteoric. Failing to observe a systematic procedure, slow, stagnant deterioration. Failing to follow the systematic procedure, slow, stagnant deterioration. What drives people, the religious practices? Indiscriminately mixed up. Indiscriminately mixed up means what all goes into the mixture? They practice something because they are born into it, because of environmental influence or certain opportunity that came in their way. They pick up something. Rare indeed are they, based on analysis and choice as per their individual requirement. To do this choice and analysis as per the individual requirement is to submit to an authority. Science means submitting to an authority if you have to learn. If you do not submit to an authority, you cannot learn. That is science. Who is the authority? The system. The professor is an authority whom you have to submit. You can't say you just tell me the books. Who are you to mark me? Who are you to determine? You can ask them that, no? In religion, that's what people do. They think that they can do it all by themselves, or they don't understand the practices have to be individually constituted based on the individual constitution. One person will talk about yoga, pranayama only. Another person will just talk about meditation. Another person will just talk about bhakti. Another person will talk about karma yoga only. Another person will talk about just knowledge, 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 as though one can take care of everything. What he's saying here is you need to have it has to be properly proportioned according to your constitution. Obviously, what it means is you cannot do it by yourself. That is implied here. It's not mentioned here, but that is implication. You cannot do it by yourself. There is a system, there is a guidance. That's the Shastra. That's the Shastras, that's the scripture, that's the Guru that you go for guidance. And when you go for guidance, what you should understand? Don't compare notes. Because what is told for you is what is told for you is for you. Same question, sir. When that person asked why this answer was given, same question, somebody else comes and asks, different answer. Or maybe you like that person more, that's why. Maybe you don't like me that much, that's why. According to the inner, according to the constitution. That is why this this Guru Shishya relationship is so holy. It has such a sanctity. What even the ordinary materialistic relationship of husband and wife also doesn't have that sanctity. Even that is also a relation. There is some sanctity there. Father, parent, children relationship has a distinct and different from the sanctity. Why? Because it is something that is so individually given to you, which cannot be mixed up with anything else. Individual diagnosis and what is the topic? Individual diagnosis and treatment. Initially done by the teacher, not by yourself. Huh? If you can do it by yourself, what a good thing. You can't do it by, you cannot do it by yourself. You cannot do it by yourself. You need guidance. You need some guidance. You need some support. That's the system. The guidance comes from the system. The support comes from the system. Because the system is designed scientifically. What should come first, what should come second, what should come last. It is well thought of. It is well thought of and has produced extraordinary men over the extraordinary persons of realization over hundreds and thousands of years. It is wise to follow that. It is wise to follow that system. It is wise to follow that system. You can ask any number of questions, you can ask any number of doubts, all that is implied here. You can do all that. But what you understand is one thing very clearly. What? Religion is a greater system and more rigorous discipline than any other sciences. It is more scientific than any other science. It's more systematized than any other sciences. Why? Because in everything else, the subject matter is the other. In religion, the subject matter is yourself. In all other, the subject matter is other. Somebody else is the subject matter. In religion, you are the you are the subject matter. You are the analyzer. You are the doer. You are the one who cures yourself. You are the one who is growing. So everything is done by you. It means you have to follow a system, and that system is effective only when it is in line with your nature. Now you can't ask this question, how do I find my nature and all? Because that is already explained twice. In part A, that's why I'm giving the references. In part A, the last portion, personality chart. In part B, the lesson, the four yogas. You combine both, you get some idea of how do you assess your, how do you assess yourself? How do you position yourself? When you combine both, you get some idea. And then based on that, you administer. If you have a guide, if you have a guru, take support from the guide, the guru. Then you are following the, and when you do that, what happens? That's where we have stopped today. your progress would be meteoric. If you don't do that, what will happen? Failing to observe such a systematic procedure, your progress will be slow, stagnant, and would further deteriorate. This is as far as the topic. We have not fully covered the topic. We have read only half the topic. Half more is there, which will continue next week from the paragraph. Meditation is the final part of the spiritual course. We will start from there next week. Since that's a different, since it has gone to the next level, I thought we will stop here, study this, and then next class we'll start with meditation being the final, and whatever he says, we will discuss there. But for today, we understand what religion is. That religion is the only exclusive subject for individual maturity. That you have to be very clear. And this happens when you follow religion systematically. Having said religion is the exclusive subject for individual maturity, it will happen only when you follow it systematically. And what is systematically means? According to your proportionate, according to your constitution. Out of the 3 points we have studied till now. And then whatever is there will continue in the next session.